there's the plane, anxiously waiting on this engine, which goes up front, mounts to that white piece. Oh yeah, my engine just arrived here. I cannot wait to get this out of the crate and on the airplane. Anybody want to know which Rotax engine this is? I'm not going to tell yet. I'll tell you at some point, but I'm not going to tell yet. So that's the engine.
I'm Jeremy Grobeck, mortgage master and airplane builder, but this is what I love. Let's get you home.
Well, got another shipment in. Check it out. Basically, it's the Firewall Forward kit. And I just popped the top off. I've not dug into this. I thought I'd show kind of how Kitfox sends everything, very nicely packaged. All right, that is a firewall. Cool, cool, cool. So they do a very good job packaging the stuff up so that it doesn't get damaged. This is what these things look like when the stuff comes. Yes, I have my work cut out for me. Oh, beautiful carbon fiber NACA duct. Another carbon fiber duct. We have an engine mount. Nice engine mount. The unboxing of the Firewall Forward kit. This bolt just kicked my ass. If you're putting in this piece on the firewall, at least as of right now, which it's 2025, they do not send you the right bolt. It needs at least one extra washer. And the problem was I tightened it down and the top of the bolt basically ran out of threads. It didn't tighten all the way, and then I could not get it back off because it is tight as hell back in here, and I couldn't cut it from the back. I had to cut it from the top side here, which was not easy to get to. I totally destroyed this nipple, had to order another one, and it's just straight up. I followed the instructions. The instructions are incorrect. You need another washer there. Took me 2 hours to get the effing thing off, back on, sealed up, and now I gotta wait for a nipple to come. So it cost me $10 as well. So just wanted to warn everybody while I got it there. I got some dents in the firewall, unfortunately. That is the first real booty kicker of the build. All right, working on the fuel pump. So what a mess this fuel pump is. So bought the Firewall Forward kit, but that didn't include everything for the fuel pump. I was thinking maybe it came with the engine. It partly did. Rotax sends this kit here, and you get 2 of these. So within that is a bunch of pieces. Kind of see here, we got some pieces. Apparently I got to put all this together. Rotax also sends the fuel pumps. Now these are the expensive thing. These are like $1,500 a piece. So that was cool. But then the disappointing thing is this didn't come with the Firewall Forward kit, which was not cheap at all from Kitfox. So you have to order this other kit, which gives you a housing box, some instructions, and a bag of parts. And then apparently I have to put all these fuel pumps together. Now look at this. Oh yeah. So we got lots of stuff we now have to put together. Not sure exactly what all is involved with this, but we are going to figure it out. And my garage is open, and interestingly enough, a dog just walked in. I don't know where he went, but anyways, wasn't my dog, somebody else's dog. Oh, there he is. What are you doing? You can't just come up in other people's garages.
fuel pump's done, everything had arrived, and it was time to get the engine mounted. For that, I needed a helping hand and someone with an engine hoist. I was able to secure all of that and we proceeded to get the engine mounted on the aircraft. Even had to prop the tail up to get it all to line up right. I'd waited a long time for this. Heck, look at how far I've come. Fabric's on, avionics are in, it's even up on its tires. Looking good. Next step, get this engine mounted, the prop on, throw the wings on, that's just 4 bolts, and we're flying. Well, so I thought, but this engine was gonna be sure to test my patience before it was all done, and I still had a lot to learn. Watch as I fight some battles with the engine and celebrate some victories. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. What engine did I install? The Rotax 916. One of the baddest aviation engines on the market.
As far as this engine stuff goes, just kind of getting stuff run. It's back to wiring. I hate to say it. I want to put this intercooler on that goes up top, but it's so much easier to get to everything right now. And so I'm working on getting the wires all laid out. I've got to mount this guy right here yet on the firewall. And I think pretty much everything will be mounted on the firewall. Like some of the wires I haven't actually connected, but they're semi-run. The fuel pump, for example, had to get wired in, so that's wired now. These are the connections for the fuel pump here. Fuel pressure sensor here, that's wired in. I'm working on these harnesses. You have to wire the other ends. You got these guys, and a bunch of these, and another one, smaller one. And so here's my schematic on it that I'm following. Kitfox does some instructions. I would say these are better. So I'm working on this part right here. I've highlighted kind of as I've gone and gotten it all done. So I'm now working on these Hick connectors. When we come back over here, we've got these wires you can see all coming out here. Those are all for the Hick connectors. It's basically all this stuff here that I'm wiring in. So you can see I've got them attached, they're hanging here, and I'm about to pull them through the firewall and start making the Hick connections here. This is the last of the wiring to get all this wired in into these connectors, and then I would say, oh, I gotta wire this. I gotta freaking figure out what connections go there to wire that. But once I get these wired, I'm pretty much buttoned up on wiring. I'm sure there will be a couple more wires here and there that I got to do, but I will be like the lion's share of the way there. Let's talk about this engine. This engine's been fun. I am not a mechanic in any way, shape, or form. I'm a mortgage guy. And so I'm figuring this thing out as I go. The Kitfox instructions are so-so on it. The Rotax manual is so-so on it. Very, very time consuming. Putting it all on. The hoses that I got are from Aircraft Specialties. And I'm doing some testing for them on some of the fitment, which is why they're not all hooked up. They're clocking some of them and sending them in. So I'm not quite done with the oil lines. But I'm real close, so I just got to run a couple more. That one was a bear to get on. It's on. I mean, basically just go through the manual little by little, and eventually you get there. Definitely pay attention to doing what you can beforehand. The fuel manifold that's there, the fuel pump is here. All that stuff, get all that stuff on, whatever you can before you mount the engine. It's a lot easier. I'm going to redo this line. I don't like it said go under the engine mount. I went under this one. I think I'm going to try to go up and over on it. I actually ordered a new piece for that. So it's go, 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 go. This guy right here is a little different than what Kitfox sends. And that same thing, I had it cut. I was maybe a ½ inch short when it was all said and done. You really got to get this thing fit up right. It barely clears down here. Like, everything is so tight. Don't drill these holes until you get this lined up. Fuel lines were pretty straightforward. Again, I got my fuel lines from Aircraft Specialties, so they were all plug and play, so to speak. Engine's coming along. Everything's zip tied up, buttoned up. I've got to put the exhaust is cut. I got to permanently mount that. I'm going to put the cowling on one more time before it goes to paint. All the heat wraps on. Everything's heat wrapped. Yeah. So just waiting to cut the zip ties to make sure I don't need to do anything else. They don't quite need to be cut yet. There's all the heat wrap here that I did. And those lines running. So it's a pain getting these through, getting this all on. Out here sweating my tail off in my garage, finishing up all this oil lines and fuel lines and all that. And I promised Steve at Aircraft Specialty a video. He's the most helpful person that I've talked to throughout this build process, from the avionics people to the Kitfox people to others that have helped me out, like the engine people. Hands down, Steve, like when I had a question, he'd call me back. It'd be 7 o'clock at night. I'd be working out here in my garage and he's calling me back, calling me on Sundays. Like, super, super helpful dude. So if you guys need anything, their customer service is top notch as well. Here we go. The brake line kit. These are really nice brake lines. It's hard to show you, but they're all hooked up back here. Through there. Our Stellar came through the firewall. What I did was, you can see there's a metal plate here. So I put a metal plate in, and that's where I went through the fabric. Really clean, really nice. Worked out really, really well. Here, you got these 90s. Everything breaks off down here and then goes down. And here's the other side. This is what Kitfox sells. So this is what you're supposed to use for brake lines. And that just, they hook these together with these metal fittings. This is the stainless line that they send with it. PTFE braided stainless. So that's what they send for that. Here's some of the other line that they send. I'm not saying this stuff's bad, but making all these lines and, you know, you're putting together these fittings. These are some of the other fittings they use. So it's not bad stuff, but Steve's stuff is top notch. This probably makes me the most nervous. I think I'm just going to take, this is, you know, really close to everything here. I think I'm just going to take a little more heat shield and just kind of cover this one more time, just kind of through here. But it's all wrapped up, ready to go, ready to fire up for the first time. So just give you a quick, for those of you wondering, one more tool around and kind of see my labels. You know, sometimes people go so fast in these videos. 'Cause believe me, I've paused them and watched them over and over again trying to figure out where to run stuff. This is what I ended up with. right, so I'm getting ready to conduct a fuel flow test. I have not put fuel in the plane yet, and one thing that makes me a little bit nervous about this is the tanks are fiberglass tanks, and I connected some different fittings to them and stuff like that. You know, during the build process, the tank is here in the wing. You can't really get to those fittings very easily. It is doable, but I'm a little nervous that if those fittings aren't on good enough, then I'm gonna have some fuel leaks I'm gonna have to deal with, and I'm gonna have to get in there and tighten up whatever I'm gonna have to tighten up. There's 2 fuel pumps on my plane. I'm gonna test each one, and then I'm gonna test them together at the same time, and we're gonna record the fuel flow rates. Just so everybody understands how the fuel works, I've had some people ask me questions about this, so let me take you inside here. That was the wing we were just looking at. There's the fuel gauge. The fuel flows from the tank down this line. This line runs here, and it runs right here into what is called a header tank. The fuel is gravity fed. There's a wing in each tank, and the fuel is gravity fed, and it feeds into this. Let's put a couple gallons in this upper tank. 100 low lead with lead removing additive added. So for you pilots that are watching this, you know that you've got fuel sumps that you got to do. For those that aren't pilots, a fuel sump is a spot where before you fly, you check, you take a fuel sample, and you're looking for contaminants in the fuel. Mostly water would be the most common because that can trip you up. So check this. So I stopped into Duncan Aviation in Kalamazoo, Michigan. First fuel purchase. Might save this for the history books. 100 low lead. Cost me $5.58 a gallon. All right, so we're going to commence the fuel flow test. We're going to go to the 1 gallon mark right here, and we're going to time it and see how long it takes. I'm going to do 3 tests on each pump, and then I'm going to do 3 tests on the dual pump. So that is the game plan, and this fuel is going to flow through this line right here into the jug. Alright, so the results are in, and I recorded this in the engine log. I don't know if that's the proper place or not, but it's my first entry in there.
Next up was the prop. I'd waited a long time for this moment. Had to get the engine on, the wings on, the tires on, the fabric on, everything on in order to move on to the prop stage. The first step was to install a governor onto the prop, as this is a constant speed E-prop. A super lightweight, modern day carbon fiber, awesome performance prop, so they say. Part of the install involved hooking up some little metal brackets and some arms that would be used to adjust the pitch of the prop in flight. The most important thing here with the E-prop was to get all the torque specs right, the wires run, the RPM sensor installed. It really wasn't too bad. The install was pretty straightforward, including the controller. I just followed the instructions step by step. One thing I will say about the E-prop is getting that initial pitch setting correct is key, and definitely took a little bit of trial and error. All in all, the prop turned out amazing. Now all I had to do was purge the oil through the system, and I was ready to fire it up.
Clear! All right, so just finished up the first engine run. It went well. Down here on the hot side of the turbo, I had some smoke when I was done, but when I put the oil lines on, definitely I spilled some oil on it, and then I tried to wipe off what I could, so I'm hoping it was residual. I heard one little sizzle.
Little did I know that sizzle was going to haunt me in the weeks to come. Once I got the airplane out to the airport and proceeded with taxi checks and leak checks after the first flight, I dealt with everything from coolant, fuel, and oil leaks. But this nut right here was my nemesis. I could just not get it to seat properly, and it had a slight drip for many, many days. I finally got it after many frustrating hours. Stay tuned for the next video where we're going to take a step back and go over how I did the windshield, the doors, the interior, and a whole bunch of other finishes on the airplane.
And again, just one more reminder, I'm a mortgage guy, I'm not an engine guy, so take this advice for what it's worth, and that is free.